Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Michelle, and today we have Thomas on the show who just had his business listed on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Thomas, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Doing great, Michelle. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, and thanks for making the time to come on today. I'm looking forward to learning more about your business, but before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. It's an affiliate and Amazon Associates business in the gaming and electronics niches created in December 2019. The average revenue for the business is $2,547 per month, and it makes an average of $2,517 per month in net profit. Included in this sale is a primary domain with all site content and files, a secondary domain, and social media accounts and pages for Facebook and Twitter. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 59460 to learn more about this business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So Thomas, now let's hear from you. I'm really curious, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running an online business?
Sure. So it all kind of starts out about 5 or 6 years ago. I kind of started my career out as a freelance writer and really started delving into that around 2016, 2017. And I would write about all sorts of things. And over the course of a couple of years, as I got more experienced as a freelance writer, I started focusing more on SEO-friendly content. And I started finding that a lot of my clients, I was actually writing affiliate content for them, maybe not direct product guides or best of reviews, kind of roundups, but generally content with an SEO focus, oftentimes for affiliate websites. And so I did that for a few years, and I think I had my first attempt at building out a online business around 2016, 2017, just when I was getting into freelance writing. So I had very few of the skills I had today. Needless to say, I made a lot of mistakes, and that website never really gained much traction. For example, I chose a medical niche, throwing myself right into the deep end and writing just articles that were 200, 300, 400 words long because I didn't know any better. But then as I started freelance writing and getting these suggestions and these guidelines from my clients, I picked up a lot of SEO knowledge. And around 2019, 2020, I started getting back into content marketing and affiliate marketing on my own websites. And that's when I saw my first successes with picking up quite a lot of traffic with SEO, thanks to what I learned about long form content and how to structure it and other SEO best practices. And then around the end of 2019, I picked up the domain name with a bit of a shell of a website that would ultimately become the business that I'm selling today. And through 2020, I just started creating loads of content, long form content, and it kind of stuck and it really gained traction. And here we are today.
You know, I think that's the first time that I've ever heard a seller say that they used their previous experience with clients to springboard into SEO and building a content site. So that's really fascinating. I'm curious because you said that you had tried to start a medical site before that didn't work out. So what inspired you to start this particular business?
So the business here in question, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fanatic of the niche itself, but more I just saw an opportunity. I was kind of researching niches to start building out a website in early 2020. I had thought, being a bit of a gamer myself, that I would do something related to this specific sub niche. And I just saw how much opportunity there was. I saw the potential here for kind of tapping into various private affiliate networks. And it just seemed like it could be really lucrative. And that kind of led me to explore it some more. And yeah.
I can definitely see that. I think you're in a niche that will just constantly be expanding. You know, you talk about evergreen niches and whatnot. This is definitely one of those that I think you have a lot of room to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm curious, you started this journey as a freelancer. So what kind of attracted you to this like affiliate based business model?
Great question. I think it's a few things. First of all, writing that content for other affiliate marketers and generally digital marketers and website owners. I was quite young at the time and I was thrilled to be making money online, thrilled to be doing freelance writing at all. And I always kind of wondered, I'm making okay money, but someone is paying for this and it's a part of their business and they seem really satisfied with the content I'm creating. So obviously they're getting some financial benefit out of it or it's helping their business. And that kind of got me thinking. And because I was working for a lot of affiliate marketers and kind of internet business owners, I kind of realized that there's not too much missing from the equation here to get into building my own business. The content was a big part of those businesses. So it seemed like kind of a natural progression for me, wanting to get into more entrepreneurial things from a freelance writing background. So that would be one aspect. But the other thing is the idea of an affiliate marketing business and an online business always really appealed to me just because of how passive it can be. And, it's incredible over the last 6 to 12 months how passive this particular business has been.
Yeah, you're not spending much time on this one at this point. So you're the proof that these can be very, very passive.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I think you've got to watch out, obviously, that you don't neglect a business and you don't let the content get too stale and let competitors overtake you. So I think a website does need some love from time to time. But as far as passive goes, having to really only make major changes to the website and refresh content, on a yearly basis, not even on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, I think it's just, it's about as passive as it gets.
No, that's great. So I just wanted to touch upon how your business makes money. The way that we define it, you have two different revenue streams in theory. So what can you tell us about those?
Sure. So the website generates revenue almost entirely from, or I guess I could say entirely from affiliate programs. There is one kind of industry leading brand here that has an affiliate program that I would say probably generates around 60 to 70% of the website's revenue. And that has proven to be a really lucrative partner because they're just such an industry leader that the products almost sell themselves. And then kind of to fill up the rest, I'm mostly using Amazon affiliate or Amazon Associates, because there's obviously Amazon has everything. So a lot of opportunity there as well with the different locales to kind of tap into an international client base. And then I kind of experimented with adding a few other smaller affiliate programs, but didn't get too much traction. But yeah, it's all affiliate revenue, no display ads or info products. And potentially that's something for a buyer to explore.
Well, it's interesting that you tried with other affiliate partners because I was going to ask you about that if you felt like there was room to expand to different affiliate partners. I've spoken to some sellers who they have listed this as a potential opportunity and then have come back and said, oh, please take that down. My affiliate partners actually got very upset that, I mentioned that as a potential opportunity. So what are your feelings about that? Do you think that someone could come on and potentially forge other partnerships with other affiliates in the space?
Sure. So as I mentioned, Amazon here is kind of a secondary affiliate for me. And this primary affiliate is the leading brand in the space for higher ticket products. And they really do sell themselves. And that's a bit of a double-edged sword because they're so strong in the industry. It means I get a fantastic conversion rate on any traffic I send towards them. But kind of the flip side of that, the other edge of that proverbial sword is not too many other brands or kind of internet shops where people are going to buy these kind of products because they know either they'll get them from this one leading brand or they'll get them from Amazon. And I believe that my kind of revenue breakdown probably represents sales volume in the industry as a whole to a large extent. I do think some of these smaller affiliates, they're out there and they're definitely opportunities to explore, but they're a lot more niche. And I think you're going to be writing singular pieces of content around them and maybe generating, a few $100s or a 3-figure sum per month from these smaller affiliates. So there's definitely opportunities to explore that more. So far, I guess I've kind of focused on the low hanging fruit. But like I say, there is that double-edged sword here where we have this huge brand that is really kind of providing everything everyone needs to get into this niche.
It'll be cool to see how it progresses in the future because, you have one industry leader right now and you never know how the space is going to evolve in the future as well.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great point. I think as the industry matures, we are going to see more diversification there. We are going to see more brands coming out, tapping into the industry. And I think with time, we'll also see new opportunities for people in creating content about the niche.
Definitely. I was going to ask you, Thomas, why have you decided to sell your business now?
Great question. I guess the kind of generic answer is to pursue other opportunities. Namely, I've got a property deal coming up later this month, hopefully, which I've kind of been waiting for a long time, and I could do with using the funds for that. But I guess a more detailed answer, a more specific answer would be there's no hiding that this website got hit by the April product reviews update in 2021. And considering that this website was such a big part of my internet marketing portfolio, it was a pretty big hit for me. And I really have the resources. I don't have a team. I work alone with some freelancers to a large extent, but I didn't really have the resources, nor did I have the extensive internet marketing experience that I know a lot of people in the industry do have. Been working in this space for 10 years and have really been able to keep up with all of the SEO changes. So that update back in April last year was a hit to the business, but it also kind of made me consider whether it makes sense for me to have a single business kind of this size without having more resources to dedicate to it. So those would be kind of the two main things. I've also just been exploring the cryptocurrency industry a bit more. So again, this idea of exploring other opportunities. I guess the website has been with me now for over 2 years as well. So it doesn't have that romantic freshness that you have with a newly acquired or newly built business.
No, that's excellent. I really like that answer. So what would you say was your biggest win since starting this business? What was something that you did that just really took off or that you would replicate again in the future?
I guess win here really just starts with the niche selection here and kind of just the opportunity that there was in finding this niche when I did and kind of establishing myself as an authority when I did. This was my first, I would say, successful internet business or affiliate marketing website. And to see it grow from nothing in December 2019, I don't have the stats up now, but to making several of thousands of dollars a month by summer of 2020 was just really amazing for me. So finding that untapped niche here and kind of quickly establishing myself in it was really incredible to see. Because I know even now when I read about building niche websites, it's not the easiest to build a website from nothing to making quite good profit in 6 to 9 months, especially with the very limited resources I had at the time, with a low budget for outsourcing content or building links or anything to that effect.
No, I was actually going to say that, within 6 months or so, if you had built something that was profitable, that is exceedingly rare in the affiliate marketing space. So well done to you. Definitely think that that's a win. So what would you say was your biggest setback? Do you think that was the Google algorithm update?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about it. That was a huge setback for me. And that's kind of when I started to think more about moving away from the business, not because I don't think it has the potential to grow here. In fact, I guess an investor would say I'm super bullish on the future of this business. It's more that I don't have a big portfolio of these businesses, right? I am kind of dependent on this one business. And so that update was a blow to me, not just in seeing the traffic go as well, but just in seeing what was, in a way, my baby as an affiliate marketing project getting hit so hard and not having that decade plus of experience and that team to really objectively work so decisively.
So you want to pass it on to someone with more resources and more time to devote to growing it to its full potential.
Sure. And not just someone with more resources, but someone who can put a fresh pair of eyes on it, come to it with an objective mindset. I look at hundreds of articles that I helped to structure and I posted myself. And for example, it's harder for me to kind of prune through that content and be objective about what is high quality content and what is not so high quality content. Whereas someone with a fresh pair of eyes will be able to, I think, look at the business a lot more objectively and make some of those hard choices like, removing low quality content that could be affecting my authority in the eyes of Google and other such changes.
No, that's completely understandable. So just to kind of skip ahead a little bit, what do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
I think there's a lot of opportunity with kind of the breadth of content the website already has. You could definitely branch out a lot more articles here, but there's a lot of kind of cornerstone posts on the website which generate a good amount of revenue, but still don't have top 3 or top 5 rankings for major search terms. And so for someone with a lot of SEO experience and the resources, I really feel like revenue can be increased quite significantly by really optimizing those cornerstone posts to just rank that bit higher and catch exponentially more traffic and generally exponentially more revenue. So that would be one avenue, and I think probably the most lucrative avenue. But aside from that, you definitely could branch out here. There's definitely the potential to improve conversion rates just by updating some of the content that maybe over the last 6 to 12 months has got a tiny bit more or a tiny bit outdated. Aside from that, something interesting that I noticed about this niche when I was kind of researching it initially and looking at who was ranking before kind of niche websites and affiliate marketers started to discover this niche, I noticed that Google really seems to like websites that have an affiliated YouTube channel in this niche. And I'm not sure if that's just a coincidence or whether there is something about this specific niche and about how Google is ranking pages in this specific niche. But I do see kind of a lot of these search results with the video features where there's a article with a linked video somewhere on YouTube usually, and those seem to perform really well. So I think if that's an avenue that a potential buyer here would feel comfortable with exploring, I think that could be really interesting, trying to build a bit more of a holistic media brand around this brand and maybe developing some video content.
That's interesting. I can definitely see that. I get where that would fit in with everything. So if we can just circle back to the specifics of the site. So where does the majority of your traffic currently come from?
Yeah, so the majority of the traffic is from search engines, Google in particular. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I'm sure that's 90 to 95% plus of the traffic. It's very much dependent on Google as a traffic source. And that's obviously why the product reviews update last year hit me so hard. And that's potentially kind of diversification opportunity for a buyer looking at the website here and kind of lines up with what I was saying about creating video content. But yeah, it's very much Google search traffic.
So what can you tell us about what you've done as far as like SEO optimization or backlinks?
Sure. So in terms of optimization, I think that really just comes down to site structure, the internal linking that has been done very intentionally between posts kind of in the same, I won't say silos, because I know that can be a slightly controversial idea in the SEO space, but there has been some thought that has gone into how I link between posts and kind of this idea that Google will look for the relevance of a topic based on the internal links that has pointing to it and that it is pointing to. And aside from that, obviously within the content itself, I did outsource a large amount of the content, but something I would always do when outsourcing content is kind of create an outline for my writers, and that would contain those subheadings, which is super important for SEO, in my opinion, with very deliberate wording and covering, different aspects of the topic so as to kind of create great long form content that isn't repetitive, but really covers the topic quite deeply. And what was the other thing you mentioned aside from
the backlinks?
Backlinks, right. In terms of backlinks, I really got a head start here with domain/website that I purchased in December 2019 that ultimately became this website. It had some really good backlinks in the kind of gaming and computing vertical. And that is really what carried me through kind of 2020. Into 2021, I did a bit of work, probably picked up about a dozen links using some of the contacts that I'd had in from my freelance writing days. So those were on some websites also in the computing vertical. And I also bought a couple of links here and there, but no real huge link building effort, I wouldn't say. That's also kind of an opportunity for someone coming to this site to really build out domain authority a bit more than I did.
And I just wanted to clarify, because you have handled all of this, the SEO efforts, the backlinking that you've done other than what was already available on the expired domain. But you've handled all of this yourself.
Yeah.
And are you doing anything else in terms of marketing?
For the website or in general?
For this particular business?
No, that's it. It's very much SEO driven, and I put a lot of work in to kind of build out great content and to build that authority with some links. And I had that head start with the domain, and that's been it really.
Well, if we can turn toward the content creation process, and I know you've already touched upon this a little bit, that as you said, you bought an expired domain, but you rebranded it immediately, and 95% of the content was created after you rebranded. And I know that this has been a very hands-off business for you over the past year, but if we're looking prior to that, what could you tell us about how often you added content and how you were coming up with topics?
I guess I would like to say I added content consistently, but it was probably in bursts. I would say probably around 5 to 10 articles a week when I was most engaged with kind of building out the business and building out the content. How did I find topics to write about? I guess SEO tools like Ahrefs would really come in handy here, but also kind of just exploring those leading forums and leading YouTube channels in the industry to kind of get a feeling for not just what the SEO tools were saying about this industry, but what people who were really enthusiastic about the industry were actually talking about, what they were searching for. I found that quite helpful to find a few kind of golden geese, I guess, that kind of weren't being picked up in SEO tools. And yeah, that would be kind of the two main methods there between typical SEO tools and just kind of using some intuition and exploring the industry.
Well, and like I said, I know that it's really hands off for you right now, but what does a typical week look like for you right now running the business?
Sure. So right now, a typical week, it really is less than an hour a week. I just like to check in on the statistics for my affiliates, see how they're doing, and obviously have a look through the website from time to time just to make sure there's nothing, super stale, or make sure that everything is working, update plugins and themes where needed, just very light administrative work. I will say that if we looking over the last year since that April product reviews update, probably after that update, there was a couple of months of kind of a burst of activity from my end where I was probably working more like 5 to 10 hours a week on the business, or maybe 5 to 20, just pruning through some old content, making some changes to the EAT of the website, so the authority in the eyes of Google. And so right now it's very, very passive.
So, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for somebody who takes over this business?
That's a great question. I'm not sure it's one I prepared for particularly. I think the challenge here, if I were looking in the eyes of a buyer here, thinking about buying this website, I think the most kind of interesting opportunity here is looking at those peak revenue months and trying to really restore the website to that glory, with 2 times the revenue it currently has, or 3 times the revenue it currently has. And that, I think, be a challenge. SEO is very opaque. You don't know if the changes you're making are, you can't quite measure whether the changes you're making on a week-to-week basis are really impacting the website in a positive way. And I think trying to restore it to that glory is going to be a challenge, but I think it's definitely doable. And for someone with the knowledge and the resources, maybe not too much of a challenge.
Excellent. And Thomas, would you be willing to commit to a non-compete for a new owner?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem with that.
And how much support are you offering buyers?
I'm flexible on this. This is the first website that I've sold, so I'm not really sure what the industry standards are, but I'm happy to provide, a series of calls and kind of maybe a small amount of technical support if needed over the course of, a month to a couple of months, really whatever makes the buyer feel comfortable.
And are you open to negotiating a deal structure of some sort?
Sure. So I would be open to a deal structure. Like I mentioned earlier, I kind of need a reasonable lump sum here for my property interests. But assuming that kind of the majority of the sale price would come through sooner than later, I'm open to a deal structure, especially since I do think the business has a bright future in the right hands.
You've given us so many reasons why this is such a great business, but if we could just summarize you putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
I think the reason this business could be particularly attractive for a buyer, when I've looked at buying business myself before, something that's always stood out to me, especially when you see a smaller kind of an individual or a smaller group working on a business, it's this idea that when you buy a business or when you start building a business, it's fresh and it's exciting and you put a lot of effort into it and you really maximize the potential of the niche and the business itself. And I think as time passes, businesses can get a little less exciting for their owners. And I think in my case, there's no hiding that having not worked on the business so much in the last 6 to 12 months, I haven't really made the most of its potential and made the most of where it is in the market. So I think someone coming to this business, with that same freshness I had building it, in the start of 2020 and at the end of 2019, I think they could just look at it objectively and really make the most out of it and really get what I think is a great business at quite a reasonable price.
I like that. So is there anything else you'd like to share that we might not have covered?
No, I think we covered everything. Always open to taking buyers' questions, though. I know everyone looks at these sales and these acquisitions in a different way, but I think we covered the most important points.
Well, thank you so much, Thomas, for coming on and giving a little more insight into both you and your business. It's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I hope this answers a lot of buyers' questions and maybe helps some people out there who are building their own businesses. Lovely to be a part of the interview.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 59460. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.